Let's do it.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Keeping It Real Estate with PETEY and Scott. What we got today, PETEY?
Hey guys, today we're going to talk about picking the right brokerage, and who do you align yourself with once you have established where you're going to hang your license. I think that is a big deal. You know, how many brokerages have you been to, Scotty, since the day you started to the day today? How many have you been to since you found EXP?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. EXP's number 5.
And how many years?
So I got my license in 2005, and that was I had a break in there. So since 2005, and then 2000. I had two. Let's see, well, just one in 2005, and then I moved, came back to Nashville. Joined a very small brokerage that actually shut down. Didn't even they're just like, hey, we're. Well, I mean, the guy had health. Like the broker, he was already had health issues and was like, I gotta shut it down. So
I'll just laugh because you are that old that you're willing to admit that you've been in the business for that long.
Dude, I'm old, man.
You're old.
But dude. So I was like, I was still, even then I was still like, didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, okay, now what do I do? And then had a good friend from college who was crushing it, at a brokerage. So I was like, hey, what do you think about your brokerage? She loved it. So I was like, so I joined there. And then I went, that was a great place to learn, to get trained. And then I started that car business, right? So I was like, well, I'm going to put real estate on the back burner for a little bit. So I moved brokerages. Really, nothing wrong with that brokerage. It just wasn't the value that they provided wasn't worth it. Like, they took too much of my money for me to have just kind of be doing on the back on the as a side thing while we started this other business. But yeah, man. So let's get. I mean, let's get into this. I mean, obviously we're biased, right? I got an EXP hat on, right? So, but like, I think we can still be objective about it and looking at it in a way to say what's going on in the brokerage world.
Absolutely.
And it's not the same. It's not the same everywhere you go.
No, I'm still waiting on my sponsor to get me an EXP hat, and a sweatshirt too.
And the sweatshirt,
the man has gotten me nothing. Blake, where are you at?
Yeah, Blake. So, worthless.
So here's the thing, right? Like, when you first start, either somebody brought you into this business and said, hey, you're a friend of yours. I'm a real estate agent. Come join, blah, blah, blah. And you go in and you follow their footsteps and you join their brokerage. It doesn't take you long to realize, when do you grow out of it? Like, for me, it was, I started interviewing, and I thought that I was going to go down that route of, like, I know somebody, I'll join this brokerage. Except I'm the only one probably in history that's been turned down by a brokerage. It's a fact.
I'm going to send you a trophy.
Exactly. It hurt my self-esteem a little bit, except I was too ignorant to know, right?
Yeah.
And then so what that did get me to do is actually start to call around. And I would urge people to call around and just to say, hey, Mr. Broker, or guys at this brokerage, what do you guys do here? And everybody's going to talk about numbers, splits, and all that stuff. And that's where you have to start to internalize and start to look at yourself and go, I am brand new in this business. I need to find somebody or somewhere. And this is what we talked about last week, was to help me get started. And if it's your broker telling you that, then unless he's selling himself, you need to find somebody. This is where aligning yourself. Find somebody that you can shadow for a couple months, 2 to 6 months, because you always get wined and dined at the beginning to sign up, but it's the after the fact that, what am I going to do when I start? And that becomes the issue, right? And if you and I think that's where a lot of people fail their first year, is that they come in and they think it's going to be the first day of school. Well, yeah, you're going to have somebody onboard you and help you, but they're not going to make sales for you. They're not going to teach you how to cold call. They're not even going to teach you infrastructure or any of that good stuff too. So that's where it's like, I must have talked to 5 different brokerages, and I got 5 different answers from different splits. Hey, Pete, I'm going to charge you one guy tried to charge me $37,000 for a cap. And if everybody doesn't know what a cap is, that's what you pay into the brokerage for, I don't even know, for like all the infrastructure and all that stuff. Ain't nothing worth $37,000. And then it was, and my split with them would have been 60-40 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
And I almost took it because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And so you have to start looking at going, write down everything, make sure you talk to somebody you trust. And hell, if you're deciding, reach out to Scott and me. We'll help you understand what it's going to take to do this, because you're going to find yourself in a hole. And the longer you get in a hole, all of a sudden you're going to start 1 month. 1 month will turn to 6 months really quick. And 6 months of no business means you aren't getting paid for 6 months. And that is tough, you know? So that's where finding that right brokerage is huge. I mean, were you ever with KW?
I was not. That was, last week we talked about the team versus solo agent. The guy who was recruiting me for his team was at KW, and they got that model. They have a specific model that, there's a book out there, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and building a team, all that stuff. But I wasn't. But so I was just throwing it. I mean, I was a Coldwell Banker.
Yep.
And they're great company. That was where my friends were. It was kind of like had that family feel. But let me rewind from the very beginning, because I didn't start there. I started at a local brokerage where they didn't take. I don't know if they took any. It may have been like a monthly, or no, it was a very small percentage. It was like $500 a closing or something, like really small, right? Where I just paid in like maybe $1,000, $2,000 a year. And that looks good as a new agent, right? Because you come in and you think maybe you think you know everything, right? Or that you know what you're doing, right? But I got zero training, zero value.
Yep.
And but I didn't pay him anything either, right? So what do you what do I expect? And so I think some places like that are really more for expert agents who are just like, who don't really need anything from them. They're just like, I know what I'm doing. I don't need anything. But when you start out, I would definitely, I know you said like, I agree. 60-40, like that's crazy. Unless they're like giving you like Zillow leads or something, right? Unless they're like doing something amazing where you're, not giving you anything. Yeah.
These guys were giving me, they just saw the word sucker all over my head. And they go, that man just got turned down.
Yeah, like they called him ahead of you before you got there and let them know.
The vultures are coming at me.
But I think coming into it, you're thinking like, my split. I want my split to be good, and I think that's the wrong thing to be thinking about. I think it's about value. What value does this brokerage bring to me? And if you're not PETEY, you can work at any brokerage you want to. Now, granted, I have one in town where I worked for a while where they don't take new agents because they're pretty cheap too. They're probably $3,000 to $5,000 a year, and they're like, we don't take new agents unless you find a mentor, unless someone here at the brokerage agrees to mentor you, because they don't want to do it, right? They don't want to teach you, train you. They're not taking a lot of money, and so they don't want to like babysit you, right? So there's a couple of brokerages like that.
And keep in mind, like if you're a new agent or a second year agent, that training part, onboarding and training, is one of the most time-consuming things that you're going to do. Okay? Having somebody sit down for 2 or 3 hours a day teaching you a purchase agreement, understand, because these are real laws, right? The real contracts, real everything. That's time-consuming before you've even made them $1. So you have to keep that in mind. And so I would always recommend somebody going, okay, don't just interview the broker, walk around the brokerage. See if these people are people that you want to align yourself with. They align with the same values as you. And shoot, do you want to see them every so often? Because I've been in some brokerages where I walked around and, truth be told, I would never talk to any of these agents outside of the brokerage because they weren't my type of people. And would they have given me the time of the day if because I was absolutely not. They would not have given me the time of the day. And so that doesn't help the growth of a new agent too. Being in a good environment with people that want to be around and that's where having a good social circle of agents will help your success a ton. Because it's not just that broker promising you, hey, I'm going to teach you blah, 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 and then you're going to be successful. He's not going to have that kind of time. And also, truth be told, he's there to put out fires, right? That's what you said last time, didn't you, Scotty? Like, he's there to put out fires, and he's not there to train you to become an expert agent. And if he was good, he would be out selling, making more money. So don't fall for that smoke and mirrors. Walk that place, see who's around, and see who you like. You're actually going to be interviewing your coworkers versus that agent or that agency that's holding your license.
The broker is not there to teach you how to be successful. I mean, I haven't seen, at least, like you said, they put out fires. They're looking at all the paperwork, all the legalities. They don't making sure the brokerage doesn't get sued. Like, that's their focus. Obviously, I mean, they'll do some sales training, right? Like, I mean, some companies, I mean, KW does have they do a lot of sales, meetings and things like, trainings. I mean, Cole Banker did some of that as well when I was there, but it was mostly, for me, it was mostly having friends who were willing to just, be annoyed by me for about a year when I was trying to figure out what in the world I was doing, So, and I think too, a problem now is that nobody's in the office, right?
Exactly.
So, because I just talked to somebody about EXP and some other ones, and they're somewhere else, and they're like, yeah, I mean, I'm a new agent, but no one's ever in the office. So, like, how do you get that? How do you get that? And that's why I would have a conversation with somebody at that brokerage to say, hey, if I join here, can I shadow you? Will you mentor me? Can I meet you outside of the office? Will you share your secrets with me? Right? Because that's another thing too, that I don't think people realize, is that even though you're in the same brokerage, in most places, you're still competition. And so, a lot of people aren't going to share their best secrets with you because they don't want you to know. Because, again, even though you're in the same office, you're still competition. And so and I don't know how you find this out ahead of time, is that collaboration. Like, is there any real collaboration here?
Well,
and that's a big one, man.
It's a huge one. And it's like watching the NFL or anything else, right? It's that backup quarterback syndrome. They always think you're taking their spot. Me and you have come to realize one thing, brother. We don't have the same people. If you're in a big city, if you're in a small town, I get it. Like, there's nothing you can do. There's only like 10,000 people. But if you're in a big city, you're not competing against each other. It's a mindset thing. Keep that in mind. And that's what you have to tell yourself, is that, listen, I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm never going to steal somebody's customers, blah, blah, blah. And that's because I've yet to run into any of my friends' clients. We've done it once. I've ran into some lady, and that's because they got an online lead, that we got an online lead, and I'd sold her daughter a house once out of 5 years. And I was like, yeah, you know what? The guy doesn't do that much business. Give it to him. I don't really care, Yeah. And that's where I would really strongly encourage people to go. It's not the brokerage that you should look for. It is the people that will help you and align you. And you hit it right on the point. My friends are willing to be there to help me through that growth stage when I didn't know anything. That's the brokerage I would sign on to. That's the money thing. And that's where, like, we urge you guys, listen, Scotty's got a wealth of experience. He's an old man in this industry. Okay.
Old man.
He watched brokerages die. but that's the type of guy that you want to align yourself with, that's willing to share the knowledge. And we both recognize that you are not here to take our spot. You have a whole different group of friends. But you have to figure out, I think so many people go, oh, I'm going to join this brokerage, and that broker promised me the world. And then I was like, do you know anybody there? No, I don't. And then you're like, no. Listen, you need somebody to learn under, that will actually take the time to teach you, that will show you, okay, hey, down to even aligning yourself. Because when you first start, you don't got a mortgage guy. You don't got a title guy. You don't got a home inspector. And all you're doing is, you know what you're doing? You're going through the list of the preferred vendors.
Yeah.
But you got zero relationship with these people. That's not going to help you. Now, if I was new and I called you up, Scotty, and I'd be like, Scotty, hey, help me figure this out, navigate these things. When I talk to a mortgage guy, what do I do? That literally would save you so much time and earn you so much experience when you're going out and you finally get to talk to your first customer. Because that would make yourself a little bit more confident. You're not sitting there fumbling your words of like, well, you know, what's the next steps? Do you get pre-qualified? What do you do? Even down to like the title lady. You got to meet them because they're the ones. I remember like when I started at the beginning and I had a delayed closing and this title company was like, well, it's delayed, Pete. So I don't know if we can get you in for 3 weeks or for a week. I'm like, what? A week? My title lady right now will move heaven and earth to give me whatever I need.
Yeah.
I want to align myself with that guy. The guy that does so much business that he's going to make a phone call and say, hey, no, Scotty needs a solid. Can you get this done for him? Yeah. Absolutely. Because you're doing a favor for me.
Yeah.
But that's that wealth of knowledge. That's that brotherhood. That's that family. That's where, you know what? If they're going to bless you, figure out a way to thank them.
Yeah.
And you'll see that go a long way.
And and let's go back to just, you know, the splits and those things. In most brokerages, you know, you can negotiate that. And you can say, hey, listen, man, I want a better split. Because here's the thing. You are making that brokerage money. And so you know, it's hard as a new agent, right, to have that confidence to go in like that probably. But when you know that, when you have this knowledge of like, hey, like, you guys do not pay me, I make you money. The trade-off is that you give me like, you teach me and you train me, right? But at the end of the day, like, I'm paying you for that training, like, I'm giving it back to you. And so you can negotiate that up front with some of these brokers. Now, EXP obviously, and here's the thing is that, and a lot of people won't tell you what their splits are, right? Because everybody in the office has a different split.
Oh yeah,
and so
you're
it's
not
just all
supposed to talk
secretive.
about that.
It's all secretive, right? And that's and the like, it's just like, you know, it's like, man, I'm over here just, you know, working like crazy, and I know that you're on a 90-10 split, and I'm on a 75-25 split. And that's, you know, it's just like, that sucks, man. Like, you know, just because you know, maybe you've been around a little longer or whatever. But if you're gonna go with one of those bigger brokerages like that, just know that if they put you on a 70-30, just be like, ah, man, listen, man, I'm gonna go over to the brokerage next door because they're gonna do 75-25 or whatever. But again, like, it is about value to me. Another thing to look at is franchise fees. These are these little fees that add up. You know, when I, you know, and again, like, I love Coldwell Banker. I love the people there, but you know, there was a 6% franchise fee on everything that I wrote. And so not only was I, you know, at the time I was like 75-25 split, but of my 75%, I had to give another 6% to the franchise fee. And that's for all the commercials and things that you see, right? Like those, but like, you know, no one really talks about franchise fees, right? Or, you know, any of those things. And so
no one talks about fees, period.
No one talks about fees.
Until you get your check. And then you look at it and you go, this isn't just like the FICA and blah, 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 because you got to pay all that later.
Yeah.
This is like, you're looking at going, where did my money go on some of these expenses?
Yeah. So let's get into it, man. You know, so I went from Coldwell Banker to a small company in town, local one. And that was really, again, it was because their office was right by my house, right? You know, in Midtown. And they charge, you know, it's pretty much $3,000 or $4,000 a year that I would pay them. And because I was focused on this other business, right? And so, you know, again, nothing like, it was actually hard to leave Coldwell because it had like a family feel, right? Like it was tough to leave, but I was just like, you know, just on the business side, it makes sense for me to go here. So when I, you know, the car business I got out of, like, didn't go where I thought it was going to go, got back to where full-time real estate, right? At this company. And I was fine, right? I was happy, no complaints about the brokerage. And then my a friend from Coldwell who I thought was a lifer there, right? She was, pretty much like an act, like she was like the one who trained all the agents and stuff like that. I met with her and she was like, I didn't even know she left the brokerage. And so I was meeting with her I just had some questions about a listing. I was like, hey, can I pick your brain about some stuff? And she was at EXP, and I was like, well, I had never even heard of this brokerage, right? Like, what is this? And so she just, she kind of told me about it, and then I started doing some research on it, and then I was like, man, again, like looking at it from, okay, I'm a business owner, right? This is my business. Where do I hold it? And then it comes back to value, right? Where does the value come in? And at that point, it's not just about how much. It's not just about splits, right? I went from a brokerage paying $3,000 to $4,000 a year to EXP where I'm paying $16,000 a year, right? Because it's the value, right? Like if I see value, I'll pay for it. And so the value. And sorry, my dog is barking.
All right. She wants to be on camera.
We'll get you. Got to edit this part out. Remember this.
Yep.
Remember this spot.
21, 22. I got it.
Sorry about that. Hey, oh my gosh. All right.
Perfect.
So 2022, about 2217, 2020.
Yep.
Yeah. So, again, it's about value. I went from $3,000 to $4,000 a year paying my broker to 16,000 because I saw the value. And for me, the value was really that they gave me ownership of the brokerage. So now it's not, because whoever's at the top of Coldwell Banker, whoever's at the top of KW, right? They're getting those profits, right? And what EXP did is they came in and they said, you know what, you guys, you own the brokerage, and so 50% of the money that would go to the top, they give back to the agents. And that's a big deal, man. Like that is a big deal. So that's one thing. It's not a franchise. It's one big brokerage in 21 countries. So I don't pay a 6% franchise fee every time. And I can get my license somewhere else. I can hold my license in Florida. I can pick other states
Yep.
and do that in other places. And then I can also build a team because I wanted to build a team, right? And then I was like, man, I don't think I want to build a team anymore. But with EXP, man, if I bring in an agent and I train them and I teach them how to be a good agent, EXP pays me for it. Whereas let's go back to my friends who were teaching me the business. They made no money off of that. It was just they were just being nice, right? Which is like right, which we would do that anyways, right? But EXP recognized that to build a good brokerage, you pay the people who are building it. You pay them for it, and that's the beauty of it, man. So going back to the ownership, I get stocks. I have stock options. I've never been offered stocks at any brokerage until this one, right? So every check, 5% goes towards to stocks at a 10% discount. And then when I sell my first house for the year, I get stocks. When I do this, I get stocks. There's like 5 different ways to get stocks. So now I'm building a retirement. It's a real business, right? Like, whereas how do you build a retirement in real estate? You just keep working until you die, really, unless you're savvy, unless you can like be disciplined enough to do some investments. But go ahead.
And you just nailed it on the butt, right? And I look at it going like this. So I've been to 4 different brokerages, the same brokerage twice. And here's the thing. It's an old school mentality to say I'm a lifer at blah, blah, blah brokerage because I've been there for so long. What they forget is this: evolution is always going to happen. You don't marry the brokerage. The brokerage is never going to say, hey, Scott, you've been with me for 20 years. You've given me over $1 million in fees, but you're broke now. So let me give you some money back. I have yet to ever find a brokerage like that. So you have to remember, this is you got to get yours when you can get your type of business. And so you have to think about your future. And I think that's what got me thinking about EXP was when I was my first, second year, if I would have met two guys like us that would have helped us through this, not like, the recruit, but actually had an infrastructure to help you grow, I would have joined that brokerage because I would have wanted to be surrounded by people like us. Yeah. Now, at my third, fourth, fifth year when I'm making money, now you start to think about your future. The beauty of it is, for me, was I was paying $2,000 in health insurance because we got 3 kids, my wife and me, right? EXP area cuts it in half. The other brokers can't have health insurance. They just don't have the infrastructure for it. Yeah. You're right about you pay $16,000, but you know what? You're right about the stock options too. And everybody goes, well, stock. You go to any major Fortune 500 company and you see all the employees, they're working for stock options. That is a retirement plan along with your 401k. You can still have 401k because you're going to put that in anyways. But the stock thing at the end is kind of sweet. It's free. And if you want to buy 5% after every deal, you're not going to notice 5%. No. But where the key to all this is that you join the brokerage, especially when you're newer, to be around a bunch of killers that you believe are going to take you to that next level. And that's what I was always searching for. I needed to find my social group of people that would make me better and challenge me. And if I had a question, would give me an honest answer. Because you're going to walk through a lot of brokerages, and maybe I'm a lot more raw, so I'll just say it how it is. You're going to walk through a lot of these brokerages, and everybody's going to say hi to your face, especially where I am. And then you're going to ask them questions, and they're going to kind of tell you everything but the answer. I remember I could not get the straight answer about Zillow because none of these people were successful at Zillow, and they all had a bad taste in their mouths. And then they questioned me on why I would do it. I'm just not the type of person that wants to fall in line with somebody telling me no. Thank God. But I am also, we do crave that kind of teammate mentality too. And I think as you guys are listening to this, if you can relate to us in any which way, reach out. Because that's the type of business that Scotty and I are trying to build. And we're not out actively recruiting people. That's just not our MO. But what we do want to do is be the change in this. And I think that is huge because that will literally get you from 0 traction to at least 10 houses. And once you're at 10 houses, if you're willing to fall in line, we can help you build the infrastructure to do whatever you need to do. I wish I would have had that at the beginning. It took me a long time to find that. And I had to find that from the mortgage company that I use now and how together they have it. But can you imagine if you were like all by yourself? I had to learn real estate by watching free Tom Ferry videos. Shout out to Tom Ferry. I think you're phenomenal. Maybe someday I'll have enough money to pay you to go to one of your courses. But it's like, that's how I had to learn. I literally watched a free Tom Ferry. I could recite these Tom Ferry videos. And then I had one brokerage and they were so into Buffini and all that. That isn't me. I'm not sitting in a class full of, I don't relate. Yeah. And I think you have to put yourself in a spot where you can relate to people that are just like you. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, let's go back to the 16,000 that you pay in. They also give you the ability to get that back in stocks, which you've experienced it as an icon agent. So, pretty much after you cap, you sell 20 more houses in that year. They give it back. They give you that 16,000 back in the form of stocks as a like good job, like way to be a producing agent.
And at least you get some trophy. I didn't even get a thank you when I capped at my previous brokerage.
Yeah. Yeah.
They could have cared less.
Yeah.
to be able to have an opportunity to get that money back, I don't think we realize it gives you a bar to hit and to strive for.
Yeah.
There is no real pat in the backs in this business because the money is phenomenal when you're successful. But it's also nice to see it in an account versus, so like I was at a smaller brokerage where I knew where that money was going and it wasn't going to make me better.
Mm-hmm.
The moment I realized they could have cared less how well I was doing. I remember when I left, one of the brokers goes, "Well, Pete, we've never had anybody leave here twice." And the dude had the audacity to text me about feelings. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? You could care less about anything about me." And there was a little bit of like, other stuff going on in terms of like how I saw them deal with minorities. And I just looked at it going, you know what? This is business. It's not about feelings. Because at the end of the day, I capped 2 years in a row. You didn't give me any more for my infrastructure. And now you're talking about feelings of why I should stay here. What value, and you hit on the head, what value do you have that is going to make me better?
Mm-hmm.
And guys, I pray God, I hope everybody gets to that stage. And that's where that beginning and infancy stage is so huge. Because don't get caught up in this family thing. I've watched people at brokerages.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I've been at this place forever because I just love everybody here. Well, hold up. You sell 8 to 10 houses, and every time I see you, you're complaining about money. At what point are you going to choose to get better? Because your family is not going to pay your cable bill. Your family's not going to pay your gas bill. They're not going to pay your gas in your car. What they're going to do, Scotty, is they're going to say, you know what? Thank you. And that's it.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a lot more. I would say, take the time to do your research. I mean, and there's a lot of negative things that people say about EXP, right? But I wonder.
What do they say about EXP, Scotty? Tell me what they say.
I think people say that it's just a bunch of recruiters,
Yep.
right? So, to that, it's like, it doesn't make any sense to recruit. If no one's producing, then there's no money, right? You don't make money just by bringing people in. Like they have to sell real estate, right? You got some.
Let's stop there really quick. Let's take the elephant in the room head on. Yes, there are people that treat this brokerage like it's Amway.
Yeah,
we saw it.
Yeah,
but there's also a reason why a lot of the top producers in the country come here.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is the world went online. You were learning online, you're doing everything else. You didn't have to go into your brokerage to take a class where some guy that hasn't ever been a teacher is trying to teach you how to sell when he hasn't even sold. You could watch, and then they like, people knock EXP world, right? And not even that I use it as often as I should, but it gives you the ability to connect with people that you would normally never be in the same room with.
Yeah.
And that opens you up to a whole world of new relationships and things like that. And so, yes, you're right. But look at it like this. If somebody was recruiting me, I'd be like, what do you sell? Can you make me better?
Yeah.
And that's the person I want to align myself with.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the person that, guess what? They're active in the business. They're not just here. But if you're going to join something, you might as well join that person. And then guess what? They are going to go out of their way to help you get better.
Yeah.
Because now they have a stake at your success.
Yeah. Well, and the collaboration piece, right? It's, because you can look at it as just, oh, well, you want to bring me in to make money off of me.
Exactly.
But I just met with, my buddy who I brought into the business, and I was like, and I told my story, man, listen, man, my friends who taught me the business made nothing off of this. So I felt almost guilty about like kind of bothering them. I told them, I was like, listen, man, you never have to feel that way because dude, like when you sell a house, EXP pays me out of their split, not out of yours. They
Mm-mm.
pay me to help you get better. And so don't feel bad about calling me and asking me questions because I get compensated. And like, what's wrong with that? Right. Like it's not charity, right? Even though of
No,
course he's my buddy and I would help him anyways.
absolutely.
But you can't help everybody. And so building a business, EXP, they understand that. They're gonna pay me for the efforts I put into other agents.
And to that point, there's no hard feelings. You don't skew that line between friendship and business. You don't have to go to him and go, Scotty, you remember I helped you with that deal? You want to toss me a 5 spot for that? No, it's all private. You get paid what you get paid, and EXP out of their cut does that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the beauty, right? So in turn, that's where when we're talking about brokerages, who to align yourself, what to do, the person that brings you in, the person that teaches you, you want them to be personally involved in your business so that you know they care. And that is huge. That is huge. And that's where the sponsorship comes in. And that's where it gets misconstrued. Right. And I
Yeah.
think that's more of us, right? Like we're
Yeah.
like, no, if I brought somebody in, friend of mine or not, if I brought you into real estate, I want you to succeed. There is no
Yeah.
reason why I want to watch you struggling at Cub Foods or at a grocery store because you can't pay for your groceries. Because I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just but it changes the culture to collaboration. So now you got
Mm-hmm.
85,000 agents who want other agents to get better, sharing their
Yes.
secrets. So you got an icon agent in California doing a training in the EXP world, teaching me how to get better because he wants me to get better in here in Nashville. And it's just, I mean, it sounds collaboration to me sounds kind of cheesy to be like, oh, there's collaboration. But dude, like it's legit, man. It's like, dude, I will share everything I know to help you get better because when you're better, my stocks go up, right? The whole value goes up because I own the company now. And the
But it's
ownership
only
is big.
absolutely, and it's only cheesy when you're trying to sell the Kool-Aid, right? Like you're trying to
Yeah.
get people buying Kool-Aid. And the thing is like again, like I was telling Scotty earlier, I had this conversation with a buddy the other day. And I'll share it. Like he wanted me to sell him on why to join it, but I in my heart I knew there was no chance in hell he was signing with me because we weren't the right fit.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to be honest about the right fit.
Yeah.
Is that person that you're aligning themselves with, do they, and this is where me, as let's say I was going to go to you, does Scott's personality fit with what I need to be successful to help me grow? Will he truly take the time to make me a better agent? If I needed his help, would he pick up the phone? And I think that's the value. And that's where we urge you again, right? Brokerage, but it's not just the brokerage, it's your social circle and who you align yourself with will make you 100 times more successful. Since I've met Scotty, we have become a lot better. Both agents, both our businesses have increased just because we were able to share the knowledge. And that you can't put a price on. And I think that's where, as you guys are going through this and you're going through this journey and it's lonely, reach out. PETEY, what do you think of this? Scott, what do you think of this? I'm thinking about doing this. And you'll see, can we have a fluid conversation that will make me better? And I think that's where the value will now be. And yes, if you have somebody and they're just calling you to recruit you, because we get a million phone calls every day, right? Hey, have you talked to John Palateri from blah, blah, blah brokerage? And do you know it? No, I don't know who he is. I don't even care. What's John going to do for me? But you know who it's going to do is reaching out to a friend to say, hey, can you kind of give me 5 minutes to talk about a lifeline? And if you feel like anywhere in your heart your friend's pitching you, move on. Nobody's forcing you to join it. Get the person that will be honest with you. I think you had the best experience with your friends when you first started because, again, they cared about you.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. That is,
Yeah.
I think that's got to be the number one thing. And I don't think we emphasize that enough. They should tell people that in real estate school.
Yeah.
So many people would be so better off. And then again, you're always going to get the people that just aren't meant to be in real estate, or they don't realize how hard it is.
Yeah.
But if you truly want to be successful, aligning yourself with great people is the best way to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff. Well, we've gone on 40 minutes today. I love it though. Good conversation. Yeah. If you guys have questions, man, if you just want to hear, obviously as objective as we can. We're biased because we saw a good thing, we jumped on it. But yeah, if you have questions about EXP at all or just other brokers, man, just reach out to us. It's fun. It's fun to have these conversations.
Absolutely.
So yeah, well, cool. Well, that was fun. Thanks, Petey. And
Hit it,
we'll see you
Scotty.
guys. We'll see you guys next time on Keeping It Real Estate with Petey and Scott.
Have a great week, guys.